When we think of the Victorian era, we imagine women in grand dresses, men in top hats, and a rigid code of morality and etiquette. But behind that facade of purity, there was a deeply unsettling world, full of repression, contradictions, and practices that would seem terrifying to us today. In a society where desire was considered a sin and the body an enemy, sexuality became a minefield of secrets, punishments, and pseudoscience. I warn you, what you're about to hear might completely change the way you see this era. Prepare to delve into a dark past, where desire was a disease, and pleasure a curse. Victorian sexual repression was so extreme that it was considered dangerous for women to feel desire. Doctors advised that a decent woman should not enjoy the sexual act. Those who showed signs of pleasure were seen as mentally ill and could be institutionalized in asylums, diagnosed with hysteria, a condition supposedly caused by a wandering uterus. The treatment for female hysteria included genital massages performed by doctors to induce a hysterical paroxysm, orgasm, although it was never acknowledged as such. This led to the invention of the vibrator in the late 19th century, originally as a medical device to speed up the treatment. The fact that this apparatus emerged in clinical settings is deeply unsettling, as it reflects how female sexuality was pathologized. It was believed that masturbation caused physical and mental illnesses. Young people were forced to wear devices that prevented self-stimulation, such as metal chastity belts, sheaths with internal spikes, and even genital cages. These practices were promoted by doctors and religious leaders who claimed that sexual desire had to be completely suppressed. The familial syphilis was a silent tragedy. Men who frequented brothels would infect their wives, who in turn gave birth to stillborn or deformed babies. Medicine at the time did not fully understand the disease, so many women were blamed and isolated, despite having committed no immoral act. Prostitutes were subjected to forced vaginal inspections under the Contagious Diseases Act, a law that was not applied to men. Women deemed suspicious could be detained and brutally examined by military doctors, a practice that caused massive physical and psychological trauma, as documented in journals of the time. Moral corrections included committing rebellious or overly sexual women to asylums, even if they suffered from no mental illness. Sometimes, the mere word of a husband, father, or brother was enough to have them locked away for life. Many women spent their final days isolated, medicated, or lobotomized simply for not conforming to the imposed ideal of purity. Genital surgeries were performed on women under the pretext of curing behavioral problems. Some were subjected to clitoridectomies or hysterectomies, supposedly to eliminate their lust or impure conduct. These procedures were painful, dangerous, and absolutely unjustified from a medical standpoint. In private, many couples engaged in sexual relations without looking at each other. Some households had beds with a curtain down the middle, or even with specially designed holes to avoid eye contact, especially among members of the upper class, where displaying desire could be considered scandalous. Sexual intercourse was seen as a marital duty, not as an act of love or mutual desire. Sperm was once considered a limited reserve of male energy. Because of this, many men were taught to avoid masturbation and unnecessary sex. This belief led to the development of pseudo-scientific books that claimed semen loss caused weakness, madness, or even death. Some upper-class women wore corsets so tightly that they displaced their internal organs, which not only deformed their bodies, but also affected their sexual health. The ideal of femininity demanded delicate bodies, incapable of expressing desire. Ironically, that very bodily repression caused fainting spells, menstrual disorders, and even infertility. Brothels multiplied in London under a double standard. While respectable women were repressed, thousands of men visited brothels each night, many of which offered scandalous practices such as flagellation or role-playing. Some brothels even recreated medieval or religious scenes, feeding the hidden perversions of the elite. Victorian medicine promoted the idea that sex should be practiced as infrequently as possible. Some manuals recommended no more than once a month, and always with the lights off and in silence. Couples who did not follow these recommendations could feel guilty or sick, which deeply harmed their intimate lives. Finally, the hypocrisy of the era is reflected in the diaries and private letters of prominent figures, which detail sexual practices they would never have admitted publicly. Politicians, writers, and even religious leaders led double lives. While preaching chastity, they secretly explored fetishes, extramarital affairs, and desires that would have scandalized Victorian society. Thank you for joining us on this dark journey through the most disturbing secrets of the Victorian era. Which of these facts shocked you the most? Do you think we've truly moved past that repression? Or have we merely disguised it? Let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and hit the bell so we can keep exploring the creepiest corners of history together. See you in the next video.